shot?
I did, literally just minutes ago.
So how is that like? And there's so many questions I have because my co-host DJ Envy said he got super sick after the second one. So can you just fill us in on what you can expect if you're getting the shot?
Well, absolutely. Well, this is my second shot. And at this point, most of the people in my family have gotten vaccinated. So my mom, my dad, my grandmother, my sister. And it's been really actually an important way that we're trying to protect ourselves from the virus. But here's what people can expect. The majority of people don't feel anything with the first shot. Some people will have a little bit of fever or chills or body ache, afterward, just like some people feel after they get a flu shot or other vaccines. So it's similar to that. And after the second shot, sometimes you can feel more symptoms just because it's like your immune system is revving up more. So if you feel more symptoms, that's just signs that your immune system is working over time to produce those antibodies that are going to help protect you if the real virus does come your way.
Now, if you get the first shot and the second shot, is it the same thing in both shots?
It's the same thing in both shots. That's right.
So how come people get more sick after the second one?
Yeah, great question. So the reason some people feel symptoms more is because after the first shot, your body's already started to produce some what are called antibodies, which are, they're basically proteins that your body makes that can help detect the virus. And then they signal to the rest of the immune system that, hey, there's a virus here, come and destroy it. When you get your first shot, most people don't have any of that antibody. So there's not a huge immune response the way there is after you get the second shot. But again, it's a sign that your immune system is working. And the key is that those symptoms, they don't last for very long. And most people, they're gone within 24 or 48 hours.
All right. Now, for a lot of people who are hesitant to even want to take this vaccination, I have so many questions. A, I'm hearing that they're saying that you won't be able to travel or go certain places if you don't get vaccinated. And then B, some people are waiting to see what happens to everybody else before they decide to take it. So what do you have to say to those?
Well, first, let me just say that I think it's really good that people are asking questions, and you should get all the right information to make you feel comfortable about making a decision. Your health is important. It's personal. It's, we want to take that seriously. And my goal is just to make sure people have got that info so they can make good decisions. But what I'd say is this, like if you're one of the folks who is like, let's say, waiting to see what happens, after other people get it, at this point, the good news is that millions and millions of people have gotten the vaccine. Over 100 million shots have been administered right now in the United States alone. That's not counting all the millions of other doses that have been given around the world. And what we're seeing so far is that people have done really well with this vaccine. Men and women, older folks, younger folks, pregnant women, everyone has, across the board, the vast majority of people have done pretty well. So that's what we're seeing. And that's why if you're one of those people who's wondering, hey, I don't want to be first, I don't want to be second, don't worry, because at this point, millions of people have gotten the shot.
And then we're also talking about herd immunity. And we've been hearing that, right? Once we reach whatever percentage, 75 to 80%, you can tell me the number because things have been changing. But once that happens, then people don't have to get it, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, Angela, that's a really good question because it's pretty confusing. And the term herd immunity has showed up a lot in the news, but it's actually not like a magic switch that gets flipped that when you hit 75% or 80% of people get vaccinated and suddenly everything's okay. What we know is that the more people who get vaccinated, the greater our chances of reducing the overall amount of virus like in our country. And that just means that we've got to keep going, until we get as many people vaccinated as possible. And here's what we're looking for. We're looking to see, are the numbers of people who get infected each day coming down? Are they staying down? Are the number of people who are unfortunately passing away from the virus, or is that coming down as well? And the good news is we've made some progress in the last month or so because, in part, so many people have gotten vaccinated. But we're still having a lot of people get infected each day, which is why we've got to keep going and getting more people vaccinated so they'll be protected against the virus.
Now, what percentage of people might have an adverse reaction to getting this vaccination, and potentially even, because we've heard a few stories, like somebody died after they got vaccinated. Can you just clear some of that up or give us some information on that?
Yeah, this is a good question. And this is why it's really important to study these vaccines before you give them to people. You've got to put them through really rigorous scientific studies with lots of patients. And you've got to look for both how effective the vaccine is, but also how safe it is. And the good news about this vaccine is even though it was produced on a shorter time frame than we're used to, the place where no corners were cut was actually on studying safety and studying efficacy. And what we saw in the trials and what's been borne out throughout the millions, people who've now gotten the vaccine is that the incidence or the frequency with which serious side effects come up, like, for example, death, as you mentioned, we're not really seeing that. What we're seeing is that the majority of side effects are fevers, which last for a short period of time. We're seeing people with body aches, with chills, sometimes feeling really fatigued for a day or two after their shot. There have been a few reported cases where people have had, and this is very rare, where they've had severe allergic reactions. But in all of those cases in the United States, they've been able to be treated, for their allergic reaction, and they've been fine afterward. So on the whole, when we compare this vaccine to other vaccines that we're used to getting for our kids, for adults, this vaccine is quite safe and quite effective.
If you get just one shot and never go back for the second, are you still protected?
You'll probably have some protection, but what we don't know is how long that will last. It may last for a few weeks, it may last for longer, we don't know. But that's why the best thing to do is to get the vaccine the way it was given to the people in the clinical trials, because we know that two-shot regimen, that two-shot practice, that generated really good results. There is one exception, though, which is there's a vaccine made by Johnson & Johnson, which is just a one-shot vaccine. And like the other two vaccines, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson also does a really good job in preventing deaths and hospitalizations from COVID. So at this point, I would say whichever vaccine you can get first, you should get, because your risk of getting COVID and having complications are far greater than the risks you may undertake getting the vaccine itself.
And then after you get vaccinated, I see the CDC is saying you still need to wear a mask. So is that true? Because I know you would think you get vaccinated, now I no longer have to worry about getting COVID and spreading it. Can you still spread it, and do you need to wear a mask?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the more that we're learning about people who are vaccinated, we're recognizing that they not only have a lower chance of getting what's called symptomatic infection, where they have fevers and chills and a cough and shortness of breath, but it looks like they have lesser chances of also getting asymptomatic infection, so infection where they may not even know that they're sick. But still, because there's a small chance that people who are vaccinated, even though they're protected, might get a really mild asymptomatic infection and pass it on to someone else, we're still recommending that people who are vaccinated wear masks when they're with people who are not vaccinated. What the CDC has said is that if you're going to have a small gathering with other people who are vaccinated and you're vaccinated too, that you can do that without masks, which is great. And what you're going to see going forward is the more of us who get vaccinated, the more we're able to bring the rates of infection down. The CDC is going to start opening that up more and more, so that we can start doing more activities without masks and getting together, which is ultimately what we want to do, get back to our lives.
All right, well, Dr. Murthy, I know you're extremely busy. So before you get out of here, one last question. I saw some news about some brown pill that might be available that they're fast tracking, where now you can take that, I guess, if you get coronavirus, and you won't have bad symptoms, and it really lowers the risk of you dying. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so I think the pill you're talking about has definitely been covered in the news. And look, it's good news that there are more medicines that are under development right now. And what we should do is we should be pushing for these medicines to be developed. We should be studying them rigorously so we understand if they work and if they have any side effects. And then once they're approved by the Food and Drug Administration, we should make them available. But what I'd say is right now, that pill and some of the other medicines that are being studied right now are not quite at the level or at the stage where they can be made available to the public. So right now, our best shot of preventing a COVID infection is to get vaccinated. It's to keep wearing our masks, keep distancing, keep washing our hands, and avoiding indoor gatherings. I know it's been tough because people have been really, at this for over a year, right? And people have given up so much. Some people have lost their jobs. Some people have kids who aren't in school. My kids, are virtually learning like so many other people around the country. It's been hard. But we're getting close to a place where we're going to be able, I believe, to get back to our lives. You've just got to hold on to some of these precautions like mask wearing. We've got to get vaccinated as quickly as we can. And if more and more of us do that, I think we'll be seeing a return to normal in the months ahead.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time because I had so many questions as the vaccine hasn't been available to me yet, but I know that you guys are working on making sure everyone will be able to get it soon.
Absolutely. Hopefully by May 1st, in the majority of the country, it'll be open and available to people, to adults of all ages. And many states have gotten there already. But, I hope, Angela, you're able to get vaccinated soon. To everyone who's listening, I want to thank you for joining, for asking these questions, and for taking charge of your health, because that's what you're doing when you ask questions. And the good news is that we've got good science behind these vaccines. Millions of people have had them. They're the path that's going to allow us to open up our economy, open up our schools, open up our lives once again.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That's our Surgeon General, Dr. Murthy. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.